Hey guys, welcome back to Rewind Reviews. I'm Dean Thomas, and all I do here is simply review the movies I watched this past week. Up on the list for today is Blade Runner, The Hurt Locker, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Good Will Hunting, and I got a few extra things to talk to you guys about at the end here as well. Let's get started. I finally sat down and watched Blade Runner. It seems to be one of those movies that if you haven't seen, people look at you funny and they can't believe what you're saying, so I thought I'd finally sit down and watch it, especially with Ridley Scott coming out with his new movie, The Martian. Thought I'd get another little film of Ridley Scott's in there that I hadn't seen. And The Blade Runner is something I was definitely happy I watched. It blends the crime noir and sci-fi elements so well. Harrison Ford was in like the peak of his career right here, midst of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. But I think Ridley Scott was the real star here. He, like I said, the crime noir element, the way he filmed it, but then the sci-fi elements of the story and all that. And for those of you guys who don't know, the story is based around Harrison Ford's character, who's a retired cop named Deckard, and his whole job and their title, instead of being a cop, is a Blade Runner, and they're tasked with taking down replicants, which are robots that have been created that are almost identical to humans, but they're starting to create problems, and due to some events that took place actually off Earth, they became illegal. So he has to hunt them down, and he comes out of retirement for this one last mission and gets caught up on some pretty crazy things. But overall, I mean, just the tone of the movie, the way it's shot, kind of that dark, gritty, it's almost kind of like a disgusting dystopian world that this place takes in. And it is a weird, it's a crazy, but it's a good movie. The score in it is, once again, the way he really directed it, but the score itself combines those noir and sci-fi things. I think you'd recognize it instantly if you heard it, even if you hadn't seen the movie. Blade Runner to me isn't my favorite Ridley Scott film, but I think it makes it into my top 3, definitely makes it into my top 3, and I give Blade Runner an 8 out of 10. Up next, I watched The Hurt Locker, which, for those guys, a small movie. It made almost nothing at the box office, but it won Best Picture at the Oscars, and that says an awful lot. It stars Jeremy Renner, Anthony Mackie, directed by Catherine Bigelow, who wasn't even sure she wanted to do the project at the time, but her ex-husband, James Cameron, talked her into doing it. Good thing she did, because this movie really depicts what it's like to be an IED guy out in Iraq, and just depicts the war. For these guys, what they do is, Jeremy Renner's character, they defuse bombs. So any IED they find on the side of the road, they're tasked to go and defuse it, or at least get rid of it so it doesn't present any threats to any of the other soldiers. Jeremy Renner's character is kind of this wild card. He's kind of a wild cannon and loose cannon, just does kind of whatever he wants, which upsets Anthony Mackie and his partners. Kind of upsets them because they don't follow protocol. But I think it's a pretty good indicator of what the war's like. The story's great. It's pretty gruesome at times. Does not take it lightly. It's just going to hit you over the top with what's going on here. And it also is one of the better depictions of like PTSD does. Jeremy Renner character really displays it, especially when you cut away to him at his house later in the movie. You kind of see those effects that the war's had on him, and that he really can't handle being away from the war because it's all he's known for so long. The Hurt Locker to me is about a 9.3 out of 10. I know I'm starting to use those decimals to get a little bit more specific. I hope that doesn't throw you guys off, but it's such a good movie. Up next is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, starring Robert Redford. Considered one of the best westerns of all time, came out in the 70s. I had started watching this movie 3 or 4 times, just never could. I could find something else to do. I'd do something else to do, so I wouldn't watch it. Finally told myself to sit down and watch it, and I'm so glad I did. It was so worth it, and I see why. It's considered one of the best westerns. I've gotten really into westerns over the past little while. Just the way they're shot, I kind of wish they hadn't gone out of style, and I hope they're making a comeback. We've seen a couple more coming out here soon. But this one, the way it depicts the action, and it's interesting because Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid are the outlaws. They're the bad guys. And so you're following them. It's a whole different point of view. Now, obviously, the movie doesn't paint them as to be these terrible, ruthless people. And it paints them to be somewhat good, which I know some people would be upset about, but it works really well, and it's kind of a different perspective to get it, and you really care about them, and it's just kind of cool to see how they go about it, the way the movie tells its story, and even where it was at. Some of the things it did way back in the 70s definitely seemed ahead of their time. And I have to say, the ending in this movie is a really great one. The way they end it, the way they chose to end it, I think it was definitely worth watching, and it's on Netflix, so I urge a lot of you guys to check that out if you can. And lastly is Good Will Hunting. I had heard so much about it because Matt Damon being in The Martian, he's got his new movie coming out. So they were talking about, some top Matt Damon movies, and this is one of them, the one he wrote with his best friend Ben Affleck, also starring those two along with Robin Williams. I just had to watch it again because I had only seen it for the first time just a couple years ago, and I wanted. It's one of those movies I can just rewatch over and over and over. The story's so good. There's so much more to it than you'd expect from the outside. I did not expect all that I got when I watched it for that first time. The dialogue's good. The story hits. There's such that an emotional impact that it's not your fault scene with Robin Williams and Matt Damon character Will. I mean that hits you, and then just as the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid handles its ending so well, so does this one. It wraps up to exactly what you'd want to hear and see from it, and it's just a feel-good story at the end, even though it's a bumpy ride along the way. Alright guys, that will be the movies that I watched this past week, although I did check out Everest in theaters, so please check out my review of that if you haven't seen it. You're wondering if you should see it. I'll put the link in the description below. Also check out my top 3 Ridley Scott movies. I've ranked my top 3 thus far in honor of The Martian coming out this week. I'll also put that link in the description below. Check that out, please. And lastly, I will be seeing Sicario and The Martian for sure this upcoming weekend. And I believe we have some of the original group coming back. We're all going to be home for the weekend, so check that out. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. We've actually, instead of just boring me doing the reviews all the time, we got some more people in the old cast showing up. So definitely look out for those. I might even check out The Walk. I'm really looking forward to that. Now that I saw the trailer in 3D when I saw Everest, when he's on that wire, I think it's going to be incredible. I've heard only good things thus far. So I might even be seeing 3 movies this weekend. So check out all our reviews when those go up. I'll be sure to let you guys know on Twitter. So follow us there at AC Movie Chats. Continue to check out the website aftercreditmoviechats.wordpress.com. Hope you're liking our weekly segment right here on Rewind Reviews. Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you check up on all we're doing this weekend. Thanks.